I'm Gary Mitchell. I'm one of a team of 6 members of staff in Wales under Social Farms and Gardens. We're a UK-wide charity. We've got a reasonable pedigree. We've been around 40 years next year, so 39 years of supporting community growing groups. Quite a wide remit. We're there to support our membership. So we've got over 500 sites operating across Wales, and over 150 of those sites are formal members of our organisation. So we're a member-led organisation. We've got offices in Bangor, office in Newtown, and our sort of head office for Wales is in Cardiff, as is sometimes the case. But we're quite geographically well spread. And we also run an organisation called Clas Cymru, Community Land Advisory Service. And that's a sort of impartial brokerage between community groups, landowners, local authorities, Welsh Government even, Forestry Commission, and working out ways that we can transfer land into community ownership or at least community use. As you can imagine, like many of us, we're trying to do our bit to help influence policy and help Welsh Government sort of plan their trajectory for social farming. So we're quite involved in all the consultations, environment consultation, sustainable farming consultations, all sorts of crazy things coming out of the EU or not. That's keeping us quite busy at the moment as well. But we're trying to do our bit with that as well as support the groups on the ground. We support a wide range of different types of community growing projects. So just some of the ones that we do: a fairly traditional community garden. And almost every community in Wales has got a community garden. You may not know about it, but pretty much somewhere close to where you live, there will be a community growing site. We've got care farms, obviously, and Jim will tell us more about what they might get up to. Community supported agriculture. So that's where a farmer might want to get the community far more hands-on involved in their growing practices and how they distribute their food or their livestock. We do quite a bit with schools, obviously allotments, so we've got community allotments. We work also with some of the statutory allotments. And we've got incredible edible type trails. So that's more, used to be called sort of guerrilla gardening. So towns, city, landscaped beds and things like that have been slowly turned over into edibles and fruit trees. And we've got quite a few of those operating. In fact, there's one Knighton, there's one in Newtown, there's one in Machynlleth, there's a big one in Conway. So they're slowly filtering out. Cardiff's got plenty of them. And moving more really into sort of care farming, and this is where I'll hand over to Jim in a minute. We previously had a sister organisation called Care Farming UK. That's now fully merged within Social Farms and Gardens now. So the whole of the care farming farms, practice, networks, staff are now embedded within Social Farms and Gardens because it's an important area of our work. And we define care farming as the therapeutic use of farming practices. So this is people coming to farms to help do traditional farming practices, if you like. That's the way of them gaining therapy through it. And in the UK, the last survey we did of all of our members showed us there's pretty close to 250 care farms in the UK. Those care farms are providing 8,750 places per week for people with needs. It's 320,000 a year. Sadly, we've only got 8 in Wales, and actually quantifying that 8 is quite difficult for us even in Wales. So there's plenty of scope to do far more in Wales. And I will say in England, DEFRA have just invested just over £1 million for care farm development, and we are aiming to double the figures in England. So there's currently 120 practicing in England, another 80 in development already, and we'll be reaching 350 over the next 2 years with DEFRA support, which is fantastic. So there's a great mass, a great network, great peer-to-peer support becoming available in England, and we're just gently nudging Welsh Government to consider some of the options that they might help build some of that capacity. So hopefully we'll start rising from 8 and get closer to double figures in the very near future, and then let's try and get to triple figures in Wales if we can. So I'm going to hand over to Jim really, because he can explain quite a lot more about how that looks on the ground and what sort of impact it has.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Hey. How does that work? That one? That one, literally. Okay. I live at Cynhwysol Care Farm, which is a farm in North Pembrokeshire. My family have been farming there since 1750, so it's home now. My gran converted one of the old farm buildings into holiday cottages in the 60s. My mum made them into accessible holidays in the mid-80s, and I've been involved since about 1998 trying to make the countryside more accessible for people with disabilities. Now, we've been farming there organically for many years, and we had Welsh black cattle and saddleback pigs, and making charcoal and growing cereals and stuff as well. And I found farming really hard, and I found it relieving when people were coming to stay in the cottages would come along and get involved in the farming that we were doing, whether it was making the charcoal with us, or helping count the sheep, or feeding the pigs and things. And we decided to try and develop that side of our work. And so, because the cottages were wheelchair accessible, we offered them for respite holidays to the local councils. So for people with disabilities, their families could have a break, and they'd come and stay in our cottages with us providing the care. And then the people who were staying would get involved in doing what we were doing. And we started developing what we were doing to make them more accessible for people with physical needs, mobility issues and things, but also learning disabilities, so everybody could understand what we were doing and why we were doing it. And everything that we've developed since then, we're having a quality output, whether these guys here are making charcoal. We produce the best quality charcoal you're ever going to find anywhere. Environmentally, it's brilliant buying Welsh charcoal rather than importing it from South America or Africa or somewhere. And the guys who are involved in doing it get a great sense of well-being. So the bag of charcoal becomes a tool for helping the vulnerable people that we're supporting. It's a quality product on its own. There's nothing patronising about anything that we're doing because we want absolute top quality all the way through. But the real reason that we're doing it is because we're helping vulnerable people achieve something meaningful, achieve more in their lives. And we believe that everybody in all walks of life, at whatever level of ability, should feel that they are doing something meaningful. Care farming can contribute to the change in our whole communities and our whole societies to help people feel more valued and more valid in the community. Over the years, things have developed. The farm's 300 acres. There's 200 of farmland and 100 of woodland as well. We only use 9 acres for the care farm bit. The rest of it is rented out to an organic farmer from Arallgyfeirio, which is a local farm. I was farming full-time in 2011, and since then the care farm's taken off. So I just haven't had time to do any farm work for ages. We now employ 42 staff, and we had about 8,700 engagement days last year. So vulnerable people would come in 8,700 times. Some people would come in 5 times a week, so they'd count as 5 per week. Other people would come in once or twice a week. And we've seen progress in everybody. Everybody is becoming more independent, everybody's achieving more things, everybody's horizons are expanding. And in the same way, we paid over £500,000 in wages to our staff, which makes us a significant local employer. And because of the devastations of our government has done on social care, and because Brexit is hammering our farming community, and because of the challenges that we all face with climate change and things coming, society has always seen that the most vulnerable people get hammered first. The richest people generally are okay. And so we see care farming as a way of making our communities more resilient, focusing on the vulnerable people first. And if we can do that now, as the more challenges come in the future, we can make our whole community stronger, especially when we are producing food for our communities. And we're growing beautiful vegetables. At this time of year, we're doing an apple juicing service. So local people bring in their apples, we juice them all up and sell them back. And we did that for over 130 families last year. And this year, there's even more coming through again. And the quality of the apple juice, I'm afraid I didn't bring any bottles to share with everybody, but it's beautiful juice. And these are from apples that generally people leave off the trees, they just fall on the ground. And it's hard to save an apple to eat throughout the whole year, but if you pasteurize your apples into apple juice, then you've got vitamins, you've got goodness throughout the whole of the year, which helps our food security for our region as well. But the reason that we're doing it is because the guys we support love it. They feel such a sense of satisfaction being involved in it all, and it's a real deal. And this is where it separates us slightly from community growing, where often the most important output is the quality vegetables. most important output for us is the guys we support feeling happy having been there, feeling that they've done a sense of achievement, and the whole family life is improved because they're not just sitting around playing bingo, or not watching Jeremy Kyle on the telly, or not the day outers go to the shops. They're coming in to do a meaningful day's work, achieving something at the end of it with a team of motivated staff. And I tell you, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to see. And over to you again.
Thank you, Jim. I think I'll big Jim up a bit more as well, because Jim doesn't just do care farming. He's got a whole number of other projects happening around the farms: rescued chickens, homing, rehoming, obviously being cared and looked after by the workers that Jim works with, but that's one project. Jim sends container loads of wheelchair parts and disabled people's equipment out to sort of Tanzania, Kenya, all over the world. And that's an ongoing project that Jim and his family and his staff have been involved with for years. So the farm is quite a hub of activity. And every month or so they have a community open day, if you like. Coffee morning, very well attended. Every single coffee morning raises huge amounts of money, and it doesn't stay on the farm. Actually, that goes into a chosen charity each month. And the farm, the beneficiaries and the staff help choose which charity might benefit each month. So it's getting the wider community back involved in the farm as well, even if it's just for a really great cake and a really good cup of coffee or some apple juice. But they get to see that interaction of people on the farm. And I love making my way down to Newcastle Emlyn. It's a beautiful scenic drive, but actually when you get there and you see 40, 50 people a day coming to work that wouldn't have gone to work before, and to see them sit down, socialise with each other, interact with strangers, which would have been a real challenge for them in the past, and go home with a huge smile on their face. And in some cases, I'm not 100% sure, but do you still offer assisted living places? So Jim has people living on the farm in those self-catering cottages semi-permanently. They've got a purpose, they work on the farm, they're in their own independent living setting, but actually they've got that network of support around them as well. So they're not isolated, they're not on their own, they're not stuck at home, and they're doing, as Jim said several times, sort of meaningful tasks. But actually that social element is huge in all of the mental health issues that we've got across the UK, not just in Wales and things like that. So yeah, Jim's farm is a fantastic sort of showcase care farm for us in Wales, and we're really interested in trying to help develop more, and that's part of our work in Wales. It's just one element of our work, and we've got to try and do all the other things that we try and do as well. But if you are even remotely interested, come and talk to us, come and see us, we can come and see you, we can mentor people up. So we've got some ladies here from Knighton that are really at the early stages of considering care farming, and we'll be getting Jim to work with them quite closely over a period of time to help them find their feet, see what would work for them in their setting, in their community, so it's right for them.